Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in the Hesselson studio this morning, it's royalty.
Woo.
Hello, good morning. Could you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Isabella.
And what's your title? Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that Zoom studio, it's time to talk about the United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. Guys, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio this morning, we're talking with Corning Rotary. Hello again.
Hello.
You have a lot going on. Let's talk Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. Obviously, we have a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about school budget votes. Now, if it's a little trickier than general elections or even primary elections of finding the results. So if you have a question, I'll do some research. I do have some of the, I guess you could say, quote unquote, bigger budgets in our area. But if you are in an area where you haven't heard the results yet and you would like me to do some research during a break, please text into that number on the bottom of your screen, because I'm not omitting anybody. These were just some of the ones that I was able to find on a relatively quick note. Okay, let's go to some viewer comments, and we're going to talk about the primary elections as it is right now, and this is how it is. Thomas Massey was defeated in that primary. We're going to talk about it here in just a little bit. Oh, also in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to hear from our friends at Corning Rotary, so you won't want to miss that. All right, first up, comment from a viewer yesterday. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. President Trump and Mark Cuban team up for cheaper drugs. And what was the response from the left? Quote, how can Mark Cuban stand talking to Trump? He raised a very good point. Such TDS, or Trump derangement syndrome. Instead of celebrating lower drug prices that every president has promised, President Trump is actually doing it. It's no longer a mystery to me how deranged a society could get towards Jesus just almost 2,000 years ago. Nothing new under the sun. That's a pretty stupid comment. Perhaps the aliens are correct about our being the lowest form of advanced life in the galaxy. Thank you. Have the aliens been saying that? So it is you raise a very good point that it wasn't about because we even talked about it yesterday in the program. Not in this context, but it's a very good context, that instead of talking about the cheaper drug prices, every article was about Mark Cuban, who supported Harris, now seen with Trump. And every question he was asked was, how can you stand with Trump? You raise a very good point. Comment from a different viewer. Frankly, did any of the 4 candidates for the Corning Painted Post School District Board of Education appear on Frankly Speaking prior to Election Day? Also, when was the last time the Corning Painted Post superintendent appeared on Frankly Speaking? Well, the superintendent appeared probably over a year ago, but it was in context of the San Giovanni Varderno Sister Cities Committee. But let's take a step back from the superintendent. Let's talk about the candidates for the school board. None reached out. And one of the things that I want to make clear about this program is I want to have everybody on, whether it's school board, which is too late for that now, whether it's if you've got a primary competition coming up, whether you've got a general election coming up. I want to have all the candidates on. And we do a pretty good job. But one of the things, which is a rule going way back to radio, I can't reach out to everybody, because what happens is if I reach out to you and then your opponent goes, what happened? Why didn't you reach out to me? Well, at some point it becomes too unwieldy, because, yeah, I know what's going on in this part of Chemung and this part of Steuben, but there are so many moving pieces at town boards, city councils, and this is not an excuse. This is just the rules. It's just to make it fair for everybody. It's to even the playing field. So if you are on, and this is one thing that happens often, name the candidate, doesn't matter to the party, but let's say the Democrat Party candidate reaches out to me. Once they're on, then the Republican candidate hears about it and comes on. In this case, no, I was kind of surprised we didn't hear from more school board candidates, because it seems to me, and this is not just Corning, it's Horseheads, it's everywhere. It seems to me the only real place to get the information about the candidates is on the school website, the school board website, where they'll have their biographies that they obviously put together themselves. Back in the old days, there was more opportunity, I guess you could say, in media to hear from the candidates. That's why this is a goal here, and I think we've done a great job with it, just not this year with the school board, I suppose, but of getting the candidates on and having that forum for them to speak directly to the voter. So I think that's a fair question. I'm glad that you asked it, and so I could explain myself a little bit of the rules here. But if you are running, because we do have some local primaries, we have obviously the general election coming up in November, we would love to have you on. Democrat, Republican, Independent. It doesn't matter. I think history here proves on the program that we are very fair. And we would love to have you on because the ultimate goal is to get more community involvement and obviously to know who you're voting for before you go into the booth. Now, speaking of that, let's look through some budget. It looks like most budgets passed. Like I said, I have a few here. In Corning Painted Post, the budget was approved 59.06%. Now, this is the part that I hate to read, the, in my opinion, dismal turnout. 1,467 voted yes, 1,017 voted no. So the budget was approved at Corning Painted Post. And I say that's dismal. How many teachers alone do you think are in the Corning Painted Post school district? Anyway, Proposition 2 about buses and vehicles in Corning Painted Post, that was approved as well by a 59.77% vote. The Board of Education, the library was approved as well, 62.23%. And finally, in the Board of Education, you could elect 3. There were 4 running. The winners, Chris Walters, Lindsay Guy, and Tabitha Trici. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Coming in 4th and not making it to the Board of Education, A. Bo Ruffin. All receiving pretty similar votes. Chris Walters, we don't have to go through each one, but he received the most votes. Okay, in the Elmira City School District, that budget was passed as well. Listen to these numbers. 487 voted yes, 196 voted no. Now, 3 candidates were elected to serve for 3-year terms, and those winners, Caitlin Fields, Sarah Lattin, our friend Sarah Lattin, and Kelly Lohman, all were victorious. Very close race here. Sarah Sheehan was just slightly defeated and not a part of those 3 now going to the Board of Election. In Horsehead Central School District, the school budget passed 855 to 503, so 63% supported the Horsehead Central School District budget. Proposition 2 about the purchase of school buses passed 63% to 37%. And Board of Education, these 3 were elected to the board. Erin Scavone, Angie Finlayson, and Katrina Ugrarski. So congratulations to them. For our friends in Hornell City School District, the voters there approved the budget by a vote of 206 to 157. Voters also approved, and this is coming directly from the various schools' Facebook pages or websites. Voters also approved transportation reserve propositions, the Hornell Public Library budget, and the purchase of approximately 12 acres at Seneca Street, adjacent to Maple City Park for district use. Dr. Uzma Mir, Miss Jessica Talbot, and Joe Liebert were elected to 5-year terms on the Hornell Board of Education beginning July the 1st. And in Addison Central School District, and these are the ones that I have, but again, please reach out if you have a district that you are curious about. Addison Central School District, their budget passed 164 to 105. The 1 seat on the Board of Education went to Marty Wheeler. And the library proposition passed 180 to 87. So those are the ones I have in front of me. If there's one that you would like to know, I can't guarantee because I even looked at some Facebooks and looked at some of their websites and they weren't up yet. It's a little more difficult to find that information. But if you are curious, let me know. As I mentioned, and we're not going to read those all morning, but I will probably highlight them throughout the day. So if you have a question, or throughout the broadcast. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask. The Trump-backed Navy SEAL, they call it all the AP and places like that, retribution. Trump out to get Massey. He was, but the language that they use is pretty interesting. President Donald Trump scored another victory. It was a big night of victories for the president in his revenge campaign against GOP critics, further flexing his grip on the Republican Party after a string of primary wins in recent weeks. Trump-backed Ed Gallerin, a former Navy SEAL and Kentucky farmer, defeated the president's longtime antagonist, this is coming from Fox News, Representative Thomas Massie. That was reported by the Associated Press. Gallerin's nearly 10-point victory represents a major win for Trump's political operation and pro-Israel allied groups who spent aggressively to unseat the sitting lawmaker. It was a very expensive primary campaign. Gallerin thanked Trump for support and emphasized, "My focus is on advancing the president's and the party's agenda to put America first and Kentucky always." Massie, speaking to his supporters at his primary night headquarters, said, "I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way." Trump repeatedly unleashed on Massie, as you know. We don't need to go through all those past Truth Social posts. And we know all about Thomas Massie, but that was a big victory for President Trump. And another one, in the Bill Cassidy, did you see what he did? He lost as well. Bill Cassidy was another one that Trump was out to get, if you listen to the reports and you listen to what the president said. And he lost, what was that, last week, or I guess over the weekend. What's interesting about that, now that he lost, he switched his position on the Iran vote. I mean, talk about petty. Talk about, you could maybe even argue, pathetic. But the Senate advanced a resolution to halt military action in Iran after surprising defection from Republican Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Is that really a surprising defection? Someone that was pretty much opposed to Trump, kind of the rhino wing of the Republican Party, the Republican name only. Is it a surprise? It's reminiscent of, remember, John McCain at the time voting against the end of Obamacare. This is just kind of the last petty stance where they were trying to show that last little grasp of power. Now, don't worry. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere because it's got to clear the House, and Trump, of course, would veto it. But that, the damage that Cassidy and perhaps Massie will do until January, well, I guess we can just say buckle up. So we're going to talk more about primary night last night for all those important states. Pennsylvania, our friends in Pennsylvania. I know we have a great contingency here that watches. A big night in Pennsylvania. We're also going to talk about a couple of other breaking news updates. Iran, not a ton about New York State issues, so I will say that they're, take it with a grain of salt, but some in the Democrat Party are saying that the budget is getting closer and it could be done by next week. I have well, it's already been said that it wasn't going to be done by Memorial Day. We know that. So it should come as no surprise that it may be next week. We'll keep an eye on that. But yesterday, the day before, 13th budget extender. Okay, we got to take a short break. We're just getting warmed up. Again, if you have questions about your individual school districts, please text to the number on the bottom of the screen and let me know, and I will do the research. Again, it's not similar to how they do it at the Board of Elections. So I would love to hear from you if you have a specific question. We want to keep you informed. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Precision, control, trust. Young's Tires is where performance meets the road. Michelin high-performance tires are built for exacting standards. That's why installation has to be right every time. Young's Tires, because at speed, details matter.
You want?
We got 'em.
You want Chryslers?
We got 'em.
You want Ram trucks?
We got 'em.
You selection, big savings, and 3 convenient locations working together to get you the vehicle you want. Shop hundreds of new and pre-owned vehicles from the brands you trust: Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram. Mansfield, State College, Lewisburg. 3 stores, 1 mission: to save you more. Only at the Blaze Alexander, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram stores. Lowest price guaranteed.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We have a couple takeaways from last night's elections. We have kind of 2 very different outlets. One is the New York Post. The other is what CNN is the big takeaways for CNN. I would say, obviously, I think most people agree that Thomas Massey not winning is perhaps the biggest takeaway, if not the biggest takeaway. That was one that was very expensive race. And a big night. Gallerin defeating Massey by 10 percentage points. $32 million, more than $32 million was spent on political ads alone. Gallerin said in his speech after winning, "For the same reason I entered as a Navy SEAL officer in 1983, because I had the audacity to think I could make a difference. I will serve this district, my party, and my nation with that same audacity." Representative Carlos Gimenez, a Republican from Florida, said that Thomas Massey might as well be a Democrat because, quote, "a lot of times you saw Thomas Massey on the other side." Look, I'm not going to, launch names. Thomas Massey was one of my colleagues. But I will say this, every time that we voted, he was certainly not surprising that Thomas Massey didn't vote with the conference. And so he was a contrarian to be a contrarian. At first, I thought it was all due to, well, this is the way he feels and all that. But at the end, I started feeling he was saying no just to say no. And so, that's a problem. And so, you might as well have a Democrat in the seat if every time, if you're going to vote for something that's coming up and you're going to vote with the Democrats. And so maybe we need somebody in the seat that every once in a while he'll go with us because he's supposed to be a Republican. I mean, calling him a name, fine. I'm not going to do that. But, without a doubt, more often than not, he would not vote with us. He would vote for the rules and stuff like that, things that we're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, man, a lot of times you saw Thomas Massey on the other side. Yeah, I mean, he became, I like that, contrarian, just to be a contrarian. He liked the attention. It's very much like what Marjorie Taylor Greene went through. Started to like the attention of him being opposed to Trump on everything, and it backfired. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene took the route of, I'm going to retire. It's going to be on a date where I get my full pension, but I'm going to retire, where Massey saw it through and got defeated by 10 points. Now, Shapiro, for our friends in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro will take on now Republican State Treasurer Stacey Garrity. Neither Shapiro nor Garrity faced any opponents as they cruised to the Democrat and GOP gubernatorial nominations in Tuesday's primary. Kind of an easy one to win there, huh? In a primary night speech to supporters, Shapiro said that in these divisive times and with a politically divided legislature, we've shown that we can get stuff done and do it in a way that shows respect to all Pennsylvanians. No matter what you look like, where you come from, who you love, or who you pray to or choose to not to pray to. Okay, very. Remember, he's thinking about running for president. So he's got to go a little farther left in that type of, because it's important to remember that when these Democrats go farther left, it's because they have a primary. And let's face it, the Democrat Party today is very far left. So they've got that primary. Once they win that, they will try to pretend to be more moderate to convince the full nation. The problem with Mr. Shapiro is he should be at the top of the list of presidential hopefuls. Unfortunately, he is not, and these are not my words. These are the Democrat political pundits. It's because of his Jewish heritage that he is not at the top of that list or close to the top of the list, because we know that there's the anti-Semitism that is unfortunately running amok in the Democrat Party. Again, not my words. We have Van Jones, former employee of Barack Obama, can't remember what his official title was, saying that the Democrat Party is marbled with anti-Semitism. But I'll continue. Garrity, in a statement, took aim at a governor who touts that he gets blank done. What? Today's Pennsylvania ranks 38th in the nation economically, 39th in education, and 41st overall under Josh Shapiro's failed administration. Garrity said that nearly 70% of our 8th graders can't read at a grade level. Thousands of Pennsylvania families are heading for the border to find opportunity in other states around the nation. And Harrisburg is now spending roughly $5 billion more than the state brings in. All of these failures fall at the feet of Josh Shapiro, and the buck stops with him. Now, which is typical, and we're seeing it from Governor Hochul as well, Shapiro is tying Garrity to President Trump. We cannot afford to give Trump a rubber stamp in the governor's office, said Shapiro, and that's exactly what we're up against. My opponent is running on her complete and total allegiance to Donald Trump because she's more focused on serving him than fighting for you. She proudly wears her MAGA hat while I wear the Pennsylvania jersey. What's the Pennsylvania jersey? Even though neither Shapiro nor Garrity faced opposition in the primary, they were very busy on the campaign trail. Now, a statement from the Republican Governors Association saying congratulations to Stacey Garrity on becoming the official Republican nominee for governor. As a trusted public servant, Garrity understands what it takes to fight for Pennsylvania. From fighting waste, fraud, and abuse to bringing more transparency to state government, Pennsylvania families know they can trust Stacey Garrity to restore the Commonwealth. While Josh Shapiro chases his political ambitions, Pennsylvania is drowning in a multi-billion-dollar deficit. Shapiro is out of touch, and Pennsylvanians are paying the price. And that is something to keep in mind for our friends in Pennsylvania. When he is running for re-election of governor, and that will be in November, he is also focused in the back of his mind of leaving that position if he wins and going to the White House in his mind. And also you say, well, he's not going to win. Okay, you can say that, but think of the campaign time he's going to spend while being your governor, the campaign time of leaving the state, of going out of the governor's office and across the nation to campaign. Just something to keep in mind. Now, also in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia's Chris Rabb, a far-left state lawmaker backed by the Squad, specifically endorsed by AOC, won the crowded and at times heated Democratic primary contest for Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district. The district, rated the most Democratic in the nation, includes much of Center City, all of North Philadelphia and West Philadelphia, and is one of the few black majority districts in the country, with Tuesday night's results essentially foreshadowing November's likely outcome. Rabb, whose district includes Mount Airy and West Oak Lane, celebrated endorsements from progressive figures, including members of the Squad. All right. Now let's do a couple of the key takeaways. Well, when we return, I realize I'm running a little bit late. I know we're not just going to focus on those numbers, but these are major issues. We also have a couple things here about Iran. A couple of breaking stories that I think you're just going to find interesting that aren't necessarily the end of the world, but worth mentioning. Again, if you have any questions about the school budgets, as I said, Corning's passed, Elmira City School District passed, Horsehead's passed, Hornell City School District passed, Addison Central School District passed. But if you have any other specifics that you're curious about, just text me or call me and leave a voicemail. Also, as we said, if you're just joining us, Thomas Massey was defeated in that primary. All right, let's take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glass Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Your Big Fox, WYDC TV, Elmira Corning.
The Frankly Speaking roof camp. Apologize about that. I'm not sure what happened. I got to do a little digging into why that break came up short, but we do appreciate you joining us. Thank you. As we broadcast live from the Hasselson studio. So the big takeaways from last night. Trump takes out Massey in Kentucky. This is coming from the New York Post. The president claimed his latest political scalp in the hotly contested House primary for Kentucky's 4th congressional district. I'm still got to say, Gallerin, who had very little name ID, defeating Massey by 10 points shows you the power. Now, if you're reading the mainstream media, they'll say the grip, or they'll paint it in some negative term. This goes back to the argument I was making yesterday, where people say that the Republicans are scared of Trump. It's not that they're scared of Trump. There's actually Republicans that believe in the Make America Great Again agenda. It's not that they're scared. They're voting with him because they agree with him. Here's a scenario where voters are saying, you know what, I support the president's agenda. I support someone that supports the president's agenda. I support the Republican Party, so I'd like to support someone that actually votes with Republicans in the future. And that's why Gallerin so easily defeated, even without the name recognition, easily defeated Thomas Massey. And remember, as I mentioned on the program yesterday, think of how popular Massey had become recently in the mainstream media. Sure, they still hated him at the bottom of their hearts. They don't ever want to see a Republican win. But they loved him because they wanted two things. They wanted to highlight Massey's opposition to Trump and to talk about that. And they also wanted to see Massey win so they could say a loss for Trump. Trump's days are over. Because don't you remember, we had for months, to get on a tangent here, we had for months article after article that MAGA was turning on Trump. That his supporters can't stand Trump. And sometimes it would be for the most foolish things. It would be, oh, he's building a ballroom. MAGA hates him now. Where are those same authors? Where are those same quote-unquote reporters and journalists who it became cliche how many of those stories we had for a while. So if MAGA is turning on Trump, why are all of his picked candidates, his endorsed candidates, winning and winning easily? Ask Bill Cassidy, ask Thomas Massey if Trump supporters no longer support Trump. Because the only one I know that doesn't support Trump, Thomas Massey, Bill Cassidy. And they lost easily. So again, it's kind of ironic when you think back. Not ironic. It's just, where are those same pieces, those same articles saying that MAGA is, because they've had to admit, and they hate to do so, that Trump has the power over the Republican Party, that he has, and they always use this frightening language, if you will. But at the end of the day, people support the president's agenda. But we'll continue here. Massey hints he's not done yet is another big takeaway from last night. The congressman's supporters showered him in 2028 and president chance. And Massey hinted that he may not be done with politics just yet. Just so you know, someone like Massey, who loves being a contrarian, it's very much like Rand Paul, but this is even worse. You've got Thomas Massey, who loves the attention of being the contrarian, of always voting no. Of course he has delusions of grandeur that he can be president. Of course his supporters have this delusion of grandeur that he could be president. He doesn't stand a chance, of course. He couldn't beat Gallerin in his own district. But at the same point, don't think for a moment he's done. Now, whether it's president, maybe it's he runs for Congress again, maybe, who knows, senator? That might be a little more difficult. But I could see him entering and quickly exiting the presidential race. What happens in 2028? Oh, you want me to run Congress again? I don't know what you're talking about, Massey said in a sarcastic way. All right, you've made a compelling argument. You've spoken your piece, but I need a medical margarita right now. We'll talk about it later. It's humor in class like that really made him stand out from the crowd. Medical margarita now. Okay. We'll talk about it later. You can talk about all you want. But I will say, to Massey's defense, if he does think about running for president, he will get a lot of media attention. The media loves people that go against Trump and is a thorn in the side of not just Trump, but the Republican Party. Next up, we mentioned already the squad back candidate that won in Pennsylvania, Chris Robb, in Pennsylvania's 3rd district, all but ensuring the win there. Because of the far left nature of that district. Next, Georgia Republicans who spoke out against Trump. Remember, MAGA's turning on Trump. Remember this, right? That's what the media told us. Georgia Republicans who spoke out against Trump got smoked. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, who were among the few Republicans to speak out against Trump's attempt to overturn his 2020 loss in the Peach State, received middling support from voters in their gubernatorial bids. Duncan, who ran in the Democrat primary, received about 7% of the vote in the race, won by former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Raffensperger, who famously defied Trump when he asked to find votes in the Peach State after the 2020 election, received about 15% of the vote in the GOP gubernatorial primary and failed to make the runoff election. Next takeaway, Republicans will have to wait for their golden state to take down Senator Jon Ossoff. Representative Mike Collins and former college football coach Derek Dooley will head to a runoff election in the GOP Senate primary in Georgia after neither candidate received 50% of the vote. Collins, at about 41%, was the top vote getter, while Dooley, who was endorsed by Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, received about 30% support. Trump has not endorsed a candidate in the contest. Representative Buddy Carter was the odd man out, but finished in third place with 25% of the vote, so they'll be vying for his voters. Alabama's governor's race will be a rematch of the 2020 Senate election. Former Alabama Senator Doug Jones, remember him, who served in the upper chamber from 2018 to 2021, won the Democrat primary for governor Tuesday night and will face retiring Senator Tommy Tuberville in November. Tuberville unseated Jones in the 2020 Alabama Senate race. The Republican senator and former college football coach is the heavy favorite in the race to replace term-limited GOP Governor Kay Ivey. Yeah, Doug Jones, I don't remember all that was happening there at that time, but I remember there were some issues there. Alabama Senate primaries are headed to a runoff. Representative Barry Moore clinched a spot in the Republican runoff election for the Alabama Senate seat being vacated by Tuberville. Moore, who was endorsed by Trump, received just over 40% of the vote in Tuesday night's primary. The race for the second spot in the June 16th GOP runoff is still too close to call. The race to replace Mitch McConnell is set. Representative Andy Barr, the Republican, and former Democrat State Representative Charles Booker won their respective primaries in the race to replace Mitch McConnell. Barr has already, needless to say, received Trump's endorsement. Booker previously ran for Senate in 2022, but lost to incumbent Senator Rand Paul. Now, the midterm races are set in Pennsylvania's battleground House districts. We don't need to go through each of those, but if you do have any questions. So that's kind of your takeaways from yesterday. We're not going to spend the whole show on this in the school budget. Don't worry. But Trump ousts Massey. Let's see what CNN has to say, though. Just their takeaways quickly. Trump topples terrible Massey. Trump said yesterday, Thomas Massey is a terrible congressman. He's been a terrible congressman from day one. Dealing with him is just horrible. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's actually a Democrat. Trump lifted Barr to nomination for McConnell's seat. McConnell, once a political titan, the most powerful Republican in the nation and long dominant force in Kentucky politics. Trump soured on him. In the Republican primary to replace McConnell, Trump's pick, Representative Andy Barr, defeated former State Attorney General Daniel Cameron, who was once seen as McConnell's political protege and rising star within the party. Though the stars shined less brightly after Cameron lost the 2023 governor's race to Democrat incumbent Andy Beshear. Trump didn't just endorse Barr, he further cleared the path to the nomination by convincing another top contender, businessman Nate Morris, to drop his campaign and accept an ambassadorship. We already mentioned Georgia GOP governor primary heads to a runoff. What else were CNN's takeaways? Is Cornyn next, they ask. Another chance for Trump to flex his influence and reshape the GOP's Senate majority in his image looms in Texas, where Trump on Tuesday endorsed Attorney General Ken Paxton in his May 26 Senate primary runoff against four-term incumbent Senator John Cornyn. Trump's endorsement of Paxton, a controversial figure with a long history of scandals at CNN, was aligning himself with Trump's Make America Great Again movement. Okay. An early glimpse at Shapiro, Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania's 2028 message. I don't want to go through all that. Democrats get their candidates in 4 key races, and that does it for that. All right. When we return, I'm going to tell you how important the midterms are, and then we're going to move on to some other, I'm going to say oddball issues. If you have any questions about your school district, you have any questions about yesterday's primaries, please give me a call, but we've got to move along because we've got a lot to cover, and we have the Rotary. And you guys are being quiet. I guess there's not much to talk about when I'm just reading results, so we'll get away from that. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Get ready for Glass Fest. May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the Army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75 by Memorial.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So this, I think, a little bit shows you whether it's John Thune or just kind of the Republicans in the Senate. We've been talking about the filibuster, and President Trump has been calling for the end of the filibuster. And I think the president has a good point where it was, if Democrats get control, they're going to end the filibuster. So why not play their game? And Senator Raphael Warnock from Georgia, a Democrat, basically made Trump's argument for him. He argued that if Democrats take control of the Senate, they should get rid of the filibuster. And, quote, no arcane Senate procedural rule should block people's ability to be heard in their democracy. All right. I mean, there you are. That's why I think so many Republicans are frustrated at John Thune and others for not ending the filibuster and pushing through more of President Trump's agenda. Because we know, I mean, they're talking about stacking the courts. They're talking about ending the filibuster. We know what will happen, and never mind impeachments and trials and things like that, if they win in the midterms. And like I said, if they ultimately win the White House, tearing down the ballroom. Warnock said, I'm proud of all that we did when I first entered the Senate. It was the 117th Congress. We passed a lot of legislation. We cut child poverty by 40% for 6 months. We did infrastructure. We did clean energy, blah, 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 blah. I don't need to know all about this. I have to tell you, looking at what's happening to our democracy right now, it was a mistake not to take voting rights first, to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act over the finish line. I'm proud of all the work we did. If I could, I'd trade all of that for the democracy, for the people's voice. Look, we had every Democrat on that bill, on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Bill. It passed the House. At the end of the day, it was literally 2 senators, neither of whom are no longer in the Senate now. I think that the caucus is on board. If we are so fortunate that the people will put us back into power, we owe it to the people to give them their voice. That's basic. It's foundational, and no arcane Senate procedural rule should block people's ability to be heard in their democracy. So the end of the filibuster. It's just another one of these norms. Remember the norms that President Trump is supposedly destroying? Another one of these norms that Democrats are admitting that they are going to change. Hakeem Jeffries joined the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP Tuesday in demanding that black athletes boycott Southeastern Conference universities in states that pursued redistricting. Wait, did I say that right? Southeastern Conference universities in states that pursued redistricting. This is how politics can take over your life. You've got young athletes at the prime of their life, and you take a political issue and say, you know what, you athletes, you should not go to these SEC schools, these universities, in some type of protest of the redistricting. And keep in mind, these same schools that he's wanting to boycott are most likely indoctrinating students to believe in left-wing ideology. So kind of a little bit of irony there. Jeffries argued state universities and the SEC, the NCAA's top conference for college athletics, haven't done enough to counter the largely successful Republican efforts to redraw congressional district lines. So in his mind, the universities were already, in most cases, indoctrinating students to left-wing ideology. They're not doing enough to boycott, or to not boycott, to end redistricting. They're universities. Why would you get them involved? This is what one of the biggest problems has become when we talk about sports. The politicalization of sports. Yes, it's calmed down a little bit, but not all that much. Where you have a scenario like this where Hakeem Jeffries is saying athletes should boycott these major universities that are in the top conference because of a political decision from that state, not from the universities, from that state that Jeffries doesn't like. Isn't this just tedious, especially if you're a sports fan, to listen to this? Quote, "This is an unprecedented moment featuring an unprecedented attack on black political representation and therefore requires an unprecedented response. We are standing in solidarity with NAACP and its call for athletes to boycott institutions within the SEC that belongs to the states that have unleashed these Jim Crow-like racially oppressive tactics, which is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. And we believe that the silence of these institutions is complicity. Silence is violence. We've been talking about this all week. And we believe that the silence of these institutions is complicity, and we will not stand for it." Again, talk about, these are your friends. Universities are, okay, first of all, why would universities have to speak out on this? Doesn't this just prove the point that they're being indoctrinated? Where if universities have to get politically involved, shouldn't they be just, maybe, I don't know, call me crazy, educating students? Maybe not getting into every political issue of that state. Also, I'm sure at the end of the day, they're looking for state funding and federal funding if you just want to look at that level. But why even bring this into the political realm at a time when there's already so much criticism of universities that have become so political? Texas, Missouri, Florida, and Tennessee have all redrawn their congressional maps and face criticism for dismantling minority-majority districts. Jeffries said these universities should feel compelled to speak up because it's the right thing to do. You don't think that the faculty and the staff have been telling their students how quote-unquote bad this is, that it's Jim Crow-like? Of course they have. So what more do you want them to do? But he continued, and for us to get through this moment of backlash and usher in a new era of progress, as been done by generations in the past, it's going to require character, it's going to require courage, and it's going to require conviction. This is a Bill Russell moment. It's a Muhammad Ali moment, and it's a Jackie Robinson moment. And we're going to stand together to make sure we bring about the type of country that the African-American community deserves and that everyone in the United States of America deserves. Jeffries said the initiative to push back aggressively against the racial gerrymandering has been taking place, will be called Project 42, a nod to Brooklyn Dodgers star Jackie Robinson, who broke Major League Baseball's color barrier back in 1947. I just don't know why, with everything going on. I mean, he's grasping at straws a little bit. This was his big win. His big victory was the gerrymandering, and the courts overturned it. Then you had the fact that they spent, what was it, in Virginia, $60 million that they no longer have for the midterms. So I guess you've got to get athletes involved. I just find that to be a very strange scenario. Okay, let's change it away from, not politics, but let's go to some other breaking news for just a moment. No, we'll do it when we return. No, we're going to do it when we return because I don't want to run too late. I've been running late all week. As I said, Corning Pendleton Post School District, everything passed. Myers City School District, everything passed. Horsehead Central School District, everything passed. Cornell City School District, everything passed. Addison Central School District, everything passed. And Thomas Massey lost in his Kentucky primary. Those are the breaking news stories. If there's a school district you are curious about, let me know. But otherwise, we're going to move on to some other major topics. All right, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. You guys are quiet this morning. Is it because we're just talking about voting? In the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to talk about the Rotary of Corning. On tomorrow's broadcast, we'll be talking with United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. They're performing a free show at the Clemens Center in honor of Memorial Day. Clemens Center, they're going to be doing it on Sunday. It's free and open to the public. And we have... Oh, and Kelly Fitzpatrick. How could I forget? Kelly Fitzpatrick is going to be on the program on Friday. So if you have any questions for Steuben County Legislative Chair Kelly Fitzpatrick, please get those questions in to me. We'd love to hear from you, and we love having Kelly on the program. So if you have any questions for Kelly, make sure you pass those along. All right, let's take that break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Every millions fly with us at Allegiant because together we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. All right, this is going to come. Oh, okay. I will check. Thank you for that. I will definitely check the Hammondsport School District and see if I can find that. Because I know, like I said, it's just impossible to read them all, and it's actually kind of surprisingly a little bit difficult to find them at times. So we'll get that information to you as soon. Oh, here we go. All right. So the election results from last night for Hammondsport. Is that what you said? Hammondsport Central School District. It passed. Show the following: that the budget for the school year 2026-2027, it was $17,835,283. It passed. 434 for yes, 284 for no. Elizabeth Ryder won the election of school trustee for a 5-year seat. That was Proposition 2. And Proposition 3, shall the following resolution be adopted to levy taxes annually in the amount of $425,000 for the Fred and Harriet Taylor Memorial Library and $298,000 for the Poultney Free Library to pay over such monies to the trustees. Did that pass? Yes. No, that did not. 405 no, 313 yes. So there you go. Right on the fly. Thank you for reaching out. Okay, this is going to make a lot of you sad, but we got to pull off the Band-Aid, and I got to read it to you. One of America's oldest breweries, beer brands, I should say, is discontinued after 177 years. Schlitz is heading into retirement after nearly 2 centuries. Boy. One of America's once dominant beer brands. You got to figure Jerry Lee Lewis had what made Milwaukee famous, made a fool out of me. Schlitz Premium, a beer brand that traces its roots to Milwaukee in the 1840s, is once among the largest breweries in the country, is being put, quote, on hiatus, said parent company Pabst Brewing. Unfortunately, we have seen continued increases in our costs to store and ship certain products, and have had to make the tough choice to replace Schlitz Premium and put it on placement or on hiatus. Any brand or packaging configuration that is put on hiatus is still a cherished part of our history and hopefully our future. We continually look for opportunities to bring back beloved brands, and customer feedback is important in shaping those discussions. The brand was founded in 1849 as the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company in Milwaukee. As I said, their longtime slogan, the beer that made Milwaukee famous, and was once the nation's largest brewery before Anheuser-Busch overtook it in the late 50s. You have the nostalgia factor. I guess they started losing favor in the 70s when they changed the recipe. But there you go. Now, Wisconsin Brewing Company said it plans to brew the last Schlitz at its Verona, Wisconsin brewery on May the 23rd, with a limited release scheduled for June 27th. Milwaukee area bars and breweries are also planning farewell events tied to the final batches. So no longer Schlitz. I know this is breaking. We bring you the breaking news, folks. Also, what goes better with beer than a hot dog, and specifically a hot dog eating contest? I did not hear about this, but I think it's important we bring this news to you. Star athlete, the world's greatest eater, Joey Chestnut. He pleaded guilty in April to a misdemeanor battery charge and was given 180 days of probation after getting involved in a bar altercation. So I guess beer doesn't go that good with hot dogs. Court records show that the perennial Nathan's hot dog eating contest champ pleaded guilty and was sentenced to probation. He had previously been granted a petition to travel outside of the state of Indiana, where the altercation took place and where he resides. That means Chestnut, who is 42 years old, will come to Coney Island to defend his mustard belt title while he is still on probation. He told USA Today that he has no restrictions. The 17-time hot dog eating champion is said to have struck a man with his open hand in a bar in March after the alleged victim recognized Chestnut and came up to him. The March 21st incident occurred just before 2 a.m. That could be the real problem. And the accuser said that Chestnut struck him on the left side of his face after the two had shaken hands. It's also said that Chestnut told the person's friend, "Look, your buddy's mad." Nothing transpired afterwards, and when Chestnut spoke with police the following day about the incident, he told the officers that he was, quote, pretty drunk and didn't remember the situation. Police noted that watching security footage that the accused had pulled the victim forward, moves closer, and uses his right hand to strike the victim on the face with an open hand. The victim is observed reacting to the strike and moving his head downward and holding it there while the accused stands over him and his friend. Anyway, you get the whole idea. In a statement, Joey Chestnut said Joey regrets it was his lawyer, engaging in the interaction being misinterpreted. He strives to always connect in a fun manner with fans. In this case, some inappropriate things were said that Joey reacted to. He's committed to avoiding being in those situations going forward. All right, anyway, there you go. Only the breaking news. All right, if you have any questions about the school budget, we'll probably read those at the top of the hour one last time, or any of the other issues going on today. We're probably going to talk a little bit about Iran, but we got to wrap up hour number one, so stay with us.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
It's the home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Glass Fest Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Your name.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75 by
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. We're wrapping up hour number one here. We've got a couple other breaking stories that we're going to get to at the top of the hour. But since we've been talking about the school vote, and it looks as if most, if not all, the budgets we've read so far have passed, and we talk about the upcoming primary elections, the upcoming general elections, we always say how important it is to know who you're voting for, who they're going to put in their administration, these type of things. And that's why we try to have all the candidates on. So again, if you are a candidate, whether it's in the primary or the general. Let's get you on the program. That's kind of how we do it here. You just have to reach out, and we'd love to get it in the schedule. So you see that number on the bottom of the screen. Reach out at any time. But the reason I mention this, we had Tiffany Henyard in the past, the world super mayor or whatever she called herself. Here's one. Again, this is about knowing who you're going to surround yourself with if you are elected. An Illinois park executive is facing backlash after she was accused of using a taxpayer-funded credit card to help pay for an $800 helicopter rental for her daughter's prom photo shoot. Quintina Brown, head of the Markham Park District outside Chicago, arranged for the helicopter to land at Rosenier Park on May 8th so her 17-year-old daughter, Quimera, could pose for pictures in front of it. The helicopter company gave an invoice to City Attorney Kelly Crotchen that included a credit card number linked to Brown. The invoice reportedly listed Markman's Park as the customer, used the Park District Fieldhouse address, and included Brown's signature. Crocken said that at least the deposit was charged to a Park District credit card funded by taxpayers. Quote, they told me that the deposit was charged to the card and they have not been successful in getting the remaining $800 off the card for whatever reason. The invoice was reportedly for a minimum of $800 for 1 hour of service. Markham Major Roger Agbawa said residents should be concerned if a park credit card was used either to pay for or secure the booking. Brown denied any misuse. Anyway, just another example, because I've got one that's going to outrage you. We're going to start the next hour with, it's a New York State update. We talk about all the problems we're facing here in New York State, whether it's high taxes, which is interesting because everybody voted for the school budgets. But anyway, high taxes, kind of the mass exodus that we're dealing with in New York State, the disastrous climate policies, all these things, and yet those in Albany and the one-party rule, the Democrat one-party rule, have decided to take up a very important issue that we're going to tell you about in the next hour. Then we're going to give you some other updates, talk about Iran. We've got then some other New York issues as well. If you have any questions about the school budget, go ahead and ask. Just text that number on the bottom of the screen. Also, if you haven't heard, we're going to be talking with the Rotary Club in the 7 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. And then Friday, Steuben County Chairwoman Kelly Fitzpatrick. So we still have a very busy week in store. And it's only Wednesday. But remember, the budget was due April 1st. It is now May 20th. And we thank you for joining us. We'll take our short break, wrap up hour number 1. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business. Nappy's Auto Body done right.
The home of creativity. Release your inner audio engineer. Create with the 3D printer. Make your clothing ideas come together with our sewing machine rentals. Or come to the library event nights to chat with those within your community. All with your library card. Go to your local library today.
Glass Back the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down in play, I'll write your name.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75 by
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hakem. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We got a lot going on this morning. Again, it looks like most of the school budget passed. If you have any questions about your specific budget, just go ahead and text me at the number at the bottom of the screen. But Corning Painted Post passed. The budget passed 59.06%. It was approved. The bus and vehicles were approved. The Board of Education, or the library was approved. And the Board of Education members that were elected, Chris Walters, Lindsay Guy, and Tabitha Trishi. I hope that I'm saying that right. In the Elmira City School District, that budget passed 487 to 196. And the three candidates who were elected to serve for 3-year terms, Caitlin Fields, Sarah Lattin, and Kelly Lohman. In Horseheads, Proposition 1, the budget passed 855 to 503. Purchase of school buses passed 63% to 37%. And on the Board of Education, we have Aaron Scavoni, Angie Finlayson, and Katrina Agvarski. Apologize if I did not pronounce those right. Hornell City School District, they approved the budget. You have Aston Central School District approved the budget. And Marty Wheeler won the seat on the Board of Elections, and the library proposition passed. Also, outside of the school budgets, Classy Thomas Massey was defeated in Kentucky. Ed Gallerin, Trump's pick to take out, if you will, Thomas Massey, was successful. Ed Gallerin defeating Massey by right around 10 percentage points. Okay, let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? All right. I got to get them all in order. I'm getting backed up here. Okay. When you paused to talk about the eating champion, the world's greatest eater, Joey Chestnut, I figured you were going to say he choked to death. No. He got arrested, but he'll be back to win that, to try to hold on to the yellow mustard belt, and that's on July 4th. They're always fun to watch. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. It is a bit quiet today, but hang in there. Summer came in so fast and furious that we're all nursing injuries or looking for lawnmower parts. Keep watching our backs. Quiet can be good once in a while. Yes, no, we're starting to get comments in. I know, and thank you for that. You're right. A lot happened the last 2 days, getting a lot done. But having said that, I get it. We're reading numbers and we're talking about some of the kind of the wonkier parts of elections, so I totally understand. Ken writes in, you're absolutely right. It's all a part of the indoctrination process. The Democrats know that their policies are largely unpopular with Americans, but for the Democrats to gain power and take our money for themselves, they have to propagandize as many people as they can. Their playbook has been and will continue to be Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. I will send a screenshot of Alinsky's 8 steps to a socialist state. You tell me what you think, but I think it sounds exactly like what the Democrats have been doing for years. Yeah, I mean, who was it? Hillary Clinton, who essentially promoted, and Obama, big fans of Saul Alinsky's. I remember Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals. I remember talking about it. Boy, it was a major topic for years during the Obama administration, so I do appreciate that. Thank you, Ken. Okay. New York State, where we have a mass exodus of people. Our taxes are high. Our freedoms are in the tank. You can go on and list the laundry list of issues we're facing in New York. But luckily, one-party rule, the Democrats in Albany have our back. New York lawmakers are debating whether to offer a sweet taxpayer-funded wedding gift to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. State Assembly Democrats Tuesday, remember, we have not had a budget. A budget has not passed since April 1st when it was constitutionally due. April 1st, constitutionally due. Here we are, May the 20th, still not passed. And yet, the State Assembly Democrats are focused on adding a $250,000 item in New York's overdue budget to provide security for the Swift-Kelce nuptials, which will take place in the Big Apple on July 3rd. Now, you can make the argument that as Taylor Swift had made so much money in her last concert tour, I mean, I think she's a billionaire now. I think she could probably provide her own security for her own wedding. Call me crazy. An Assembly insider said the funding, sure to be politically controversial, was then pulled from the agenda. This very much reminds me of the cow scenario last summer, where you had Manhattan Democrats saying that they wanted to put a limit, or a maximum, I guess you would say, on how many cows a farmer could own. It was a very low number, I think 700, something like that. And it became something to be ridiculed and mocked. But see, they're in their echo chamber. The Democrats in Albany, they have all the power. That's why it's so shocking we don't have a budget. When you have 3 Democrats negotiating with each other and they can't get a budget on time, put that aside. But you have Democrats who really can get in whatever they want. They have the power. You may not like it, but they got the governor's mansion, they got the assembly, and they got the Senate. So they can get through whatever they want. So you'll have someone who gets maybe what you could say a little too big for their britches and say, I got a good idea. Maybe I'll get invited to the wedding if I put forth a bill that gives Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift $250,000 for their security. I mean, $250,000 is a lot of money. When we're talking about they would only give our volunteer fire department, the people that work for our volunteer fire department, our firemen and women, would only give them, what, an $800 piece stipend? Stipend might not be the right term, but $800 to say, I guess essentially say thank you. Republicans wanted to give them $2,500, mind you, but Democrats voted in $800, and now they're talking about $250,000 to provide security for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding. This is what we're dealing with. At what point do people just throw up their hands and just say, what are we doing here in New York? No wonder people are leaving in droves. No wonder the polls say that the majority of New Yorkers have a 5 or 10 year plan on when they're going to leave. Now that you could say, I know you can say that this is not even that big a story. It's already been pulled from the agenda. It shows you the mindset of what we're dealing with Albany. Not taking seriously the issues that we're facing. Not talking about changing the climate policy that is just destroying us financially, us as the individuals, when it comes to our electric and gas bills. They're not taking up anything serious about public safety, keeping us safe. And then ironic, they will tie the hands of police and they will coddle the criminals with things like bail reform and raise the age. But boy, when it comes to security for 2 celebrities, that's where they care about public safety. What a joke. Discussions centered on whether to use state troopers to provide security for the wealthy celebrity power couple who can afford to pay their own protection. A source familiar with the deliberation know that Swift has long criticized President Trump, and the two have publicly feuded. What's that? Who cares? Oh, so maybe that's why they want to give him security. Say, hey, thank you for standing up to Trump. A representative for Hochul insisted there will be no money specifically earmarked in the record $268 billion Empire State budget for the Swift-Kelce nuptials. The state budget will include $20 million to cover programming and security for events tied to the FIFA World Cup and America's 250th anniversary. So you had Democrat lawmakers in Albany seriously discussing whether you and I, the taxpayer, should help fund $250,000 worth of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding security. Keep that in mind when we talk about how frustrating it is in regards to New York State politics. All right, I had to bring that to you. As an update, which is welcome news, the Justice Department is investigating Representative Ilhan Omar for possible immigration fraud. That's according to Vice President J.D. Vance. Omar has faced repeated questions over the years about her immigration status, as well as her family finances and potential ties to a COVID-era fraud scheme in Minnesota. Quote, I don't want to prejudice an investigation. This is J.D. Vance now. It certainly seems like something fishy is there, but everybody's entitled to equal justice under the law. So we're going to investigate it. We're going to take a look at it. And if we think there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime. And that's something the Department of Justice is looking at right now. Vance, who was in charge of the administration's efforts to combat benefit fraud, said earlier this year that Omar definitely committed immigration fraud. Omar's chief of staff, Connor McNutt, called the claim a ridiculous lie, though the allegations have dogged the Congresswoman since her first campaign back in 2018. The Minnesota Democrat has married 3 times, but her second husband, a UK citizen named Ahmed Nur Said Elmi, has been identified in several reports over the past decade as a possible sibling. Ilmi and Omar, a Muslim, were wedded in February of 2009 as part of a Christian ceremony in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, according to a Hennepin County marriage certificate previously obtained by the Post. The couple divorced in December of 2017. There is no record of the couple having children. We don't have to go through her whole history, but J.D. Vance saying that Ilhan Omar is under investigation for immigration fraud right now. Quote, right now. Okay, how are we doing? Again, Thomas Massey defeated last night. Your thoughts on that? Defeated in that primary. 10-point loss which is a lot. So Trump easily defeated, if you will, Thomas Massie, if that's the way you want to look at it. Also, your questions about the school budget, if you have an area that you're curious about, I can look that up for you. Absolutely no problem. But let me take a break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, we'll be right back.
We asked a few motorcycle friends, why do you ride?
You can just shout out to the world and nobody can hear you.
I love going out for miles and miles, hours and hours by myself.
It's a thrill that you are constantly chasing.
It's a way to get free.
I love the twisty roads.
It's not about the destination, it's about the ride, right?
Folks that ride should know. At William Attar, we understand you. And if you're ever injured on a motorcycle, we're ready to help. Call 444-4444.
Get ready for Glass Fest, May 22nd through 24th. Brought to you by Chemung Canal Trust. Experience the magic of live glass blowing. From hands-on fun to incredible sights, there's something for everyone. Explore creations from local artisans. 3 days, one incredible celebration. Brought to you by Corning's Gaffer District. On Friday night, it's Drake White with John King opening. On Saturday, Tracy's A Taylor Experience. Join us for Glass Fest. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Spring into savings at the Declaration of Deals this May at Chilson Wilcox. Drive home a Ram 1500 and save over $6,400. Plus, get 2.9% for 72 months or 4.9% for 84. And it comes with the best powertrain warranty in the business. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Or save over $6,000 on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Just announced, go topless in a 2026 Jeep Wrangler. And as always, get the highest trade-in values, period. These deals won't last. Chilson Wilcox, selling cars a different way, the right way.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Not everyone voted for the budget. I, for one, did not, but I'm not surprised. I like to see return for my investment, and I just don't see where throwing good money after bad is helping anyone, although a cash cow, let me try that again. We're throwing good money after bad is helping anyone. A cash cow for some who misuse it. I believe our kids were healthier, happier, and better educated when there was a blackboard and chalk. Yeah, it's a wild if you ever see a classroom now. There is no blackboard and chalk. I wonder if the kids today graduating have ever seen, probably, maybe, blackboard and chalk. But yeah, I know, and a lot of people are saying and it depends on what school district you're talking about, but I've always found it really interesting that when people of all political affiliations complain about the high taxes in New York, complain about I can't even afford to live here, and then when there's the one time when they can actually have the most direct vote on voting for higher taxes or lower taxes or taxes staying the same, and they tend to always vote yes. It's just interesting to me. It's not a criticism, but I agree with you. I know not everyone did vote for the budget, and I thank you for the good morning and thank you for the comment. So as I mentioned, Thomas Massie loses by 10 points. Then you had earlier this week, well, it was over the weekend, Bill Cassidy, another kind of pain, if you will, to President Trump. So President Trump campaigned against Bill Cassidy. Bill Cassidy got destroyed as well in that election. So what did he do? Kind of pulled a John McCain, which John McCain did this when it came to the vote against Obamacare. Bill Cassidy was among the 4 Republican senators who voted in favor of moving forward with a resolution that would direct President Trump to pull the U.S. military out of the conflict with Iran. Cassidy's vote in favor of moving forward with the Iran War Powers Resolution comes days after he lost his re-election bid. This is where you have trouble, because now you have kind of petty Republicans who lost and think that they were something special. They thought that they were the smartest person in the room. They thought that the Republican Party was going to change towards their kind of rhino beliefs. We've seen this throughout Republican history. This is, we saw it with Mitt McCain. Wow, that was an interesting combination. Mitt Romney. We saw it with John McCain. These are people, especially in their cases, they both had lost the presidency, and Trump won it. So there's even a different level of pettiness. But you'll start to see Bill Cassidy turning into even Thomas Massie, who already started out at this point, just being a pain to Trump, voting against anything Trump. It's so predictable. It's the kind of the establishment or the deep state Republicans that we deal with that just don't like to see change. And when they think they're doing this great job for their constituents, and constituents say, hey, we actually want someone that votes with Trump. We want to actually further the Make America Great Again agenda. So you're out. They don't get it, and now they get petty. Cassidy's vote in favor of moving forward put the Senate vote at 50-47 to move the War Powers Resolution out from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, with Senator Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Rand Paul and Cassidy voting with the Democrats. Well, there's a who's who, right? All Republicans. Lisa Murkowski, well, on paper. Susan Collins, Rand Paul, and Bill Cassidy. A real who's who. All voting with the Democrats. Cassidy's vote in favor of moving forward with the resolution represented, quote, the first time he has, quote, supported advancing a War Powers Resolution. So, the first time he's ever done this. Wonder why that would be. I wonder if it's pettiness because he's, he got destroyed by the president. He may hate the president. I don't know. He may really dislike the president. I don't know what the answer is. But guess what? He didn't vote with the president. The president's got more power than him, and they hate that. We saw it with Mitt Romney and his pettiness during all of this. I got to find a different word than petty, but that's the only word I can think of to describe Senator Bill Cassidy. Per the outlet of, CBS News, the resolution would direct the president to remove the United States Armed Forces from hostilities within or against Iran. So Bill Cassidy's supporting, I guess, Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Is that what we're to assume? Because isn't that Trump's stated goal of our objective there, to make sure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon? Bill Cassidy, I guess, saying no, he's fine with it. The resolution, led by Democrat Senator Tim Kaine, who ran with Hillary Clinton as her running mate, would direct the president to remove the United States Armed Forces from hostilities within or against Iran unless explicitly authorized by a declaration of war or specific authorization for use of military force. The vote marked only a first step in the Senate, and even if both chambers approved the resolution, the president would be expected to veto it. But Democrats say the move would carry significance and have the potential to change the president's thinking on the war. Well, it won't change the thinking. I will say what it does, though. It is a way to kind of give Trump a loss so the media can run with it. And I hope I have a piece. I got a really good piece here about the Iran war and the way the media is manipulating what's happening over there, the reason I bring that up is they'll manipulate this. They've been telling us, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole again, but they told us so often it became an on-running kind of bit on this program. It became so cliche that MAGA was leaving Trump. Trump supporters no longer support Trump. It was all day, every day, it seemed like. That was the headline for weeks on end. And yet, they are now forced to admit, over and over again, that Trump has the power in the Republican Party. It turns out those MAGA people didn't turn on Trump because Massey's out, Cassidy's out, everybody he wanted is winning in the Republican primaries. Think about that. So where are the pieces now saying, no, it turns out MAGA is with Trump? Where are those? No, it's always that he has a grip. And we heard yesterday the theory, and I don't prescribe to it, that the Republicans are scared of him. Well, explain about the Republicans supporting the Make America Great Again agenda. Are they scared to go into the voting booth? Is that why they're voting for Trump's candidates? Anyway, enough on a long tangent there. Okay. Now, the Iran war, according to CENTCOM commander, the Iran war has eliminated any chance of another October 7th attack on Israel. Admiral Brad Cooper, the head of U.S. Central Command, told the House Armed Services Committee that Operation Epic Fury, combined with the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last year and infrastructure, set back Iran's ability to wage war by more than 4 decades. Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis have been cut off from decades-long flow of military supplies, thus mitigating and eliminating any chance of a future October 7th. We have a couple other things to mention on Iran. Not a lot of New York updates here this morning because we're kind of in that weird lull where we have a budget extender. We'll find out more. Again, other than Albany worried about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, it doesn't seem like they have too much else on their plate, apparently, the Democrats in Albany. All right, don't forget, tomorrow on the program, we'll talk with United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. They have that free performance coming up this Sunday at Clemens Center. It's absolutely free. You'll learn all about it on tomorrow's broadcast. And then on Friday, our good friend, chairwoman of the Steuben County Legislature, Kelly Fitzpatrick. Okay, we got to take a break. We're going to hear from our friends at the Rotary when we return, so stay with us. We'll be right back. And then after that, we'll read your comments because there's a lot coming in. Oh, this is a good question. We'll pose this that you can all respond. This is from a viewer. I'll respond while we talk with the Rotary, and I can read them when we return from the Rotary. Quote, this is from a viewer. Why did we get the postcard about the school budget one day before the vote? That is a very good question. Very good question. So I'll pose that to everyone out there. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Rotary after this. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business. Nappy's, auto body done right.
In Albany, Buffalo, was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glass Fest the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Friday, May 22nd, it's award-winning country music powerhouse Drake White with soulful country entertainer John King opening. Friday, May 22nd in Riverfront Centennial Park in Corning. Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
The governor declared the state of emergency, and evacuation is now underway as the storm approaches. The National Weather Service has issued a warning as it monitors this storm. Includes the following counties therefore should seek.
Convoy of Hope is ready to help you prepare for the next storm. Visit convoy.org/prepare.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio this morning, we're talking with Corning Rotary. Hello again.
Hello.
You have a lot going on. Let's talk about today is a big celebration, and I'm relatively new to this. I'm not really familiar with it. Tell us about the Student Readers Graduation Luncheon.
Yeah, so Corning Rotary has a program called Rotary Reads, and we partner with the school district, and we partner with First Heritage, and we partner with the First Presbyterian Church. Do you want to talk about how wonderful the program is?
Yeah, the program's been wonderful since about 2015 when it originated at Winfield Elementary School. Ironically, I was the principal at that time, and at that time it was a once-a-year Rotary Reads event, and we were like, why are we not reading with kids more? We have so much fun, so it grew into a once-a-month Rotary Readers coming into the classrooms to read. Rotary Readers really start creating relationships with classes and teachers and return year after year. And, you know, now it is 2026, and we expanded about 8 years ago to Severn Elementary School.
Okay. So what is the responsibility of a Rotary Reader? Do they get to pick the book?
Well, so we have special books. We worked with the school and the teachers, and we have a we both read, and these books kind of go along with their curriculum.
Oh, okay.
And they encourage family reading, which is one of the things Rotary was seeing as we were looking at studies about literacy, not just regionally but nationally. And how many books children have in their homes is correlation with their literacy skills,
Sure.
and then their success later in life. So this was a great way. We looked at the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and that had started nationally, and then because of United Way, it came to our region, and that's birth to age 5. So that kindergarten through second were kind of still in need, and studies show at that time specifically that there was a decline in reading skills for third graders. So the idea was that if we started K through second and we were giving them books each month, and also promoting literacy within the home.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the school year, we talked to parents and their children about reading together, and these books specifically have a side for either a parent, sibling, caregiver to read one side and the child to read the other, to kind of have the interaction and closeness of reading together.
So is that where you are right now, the kindergarten and through second?
Yes.
Is that the program?
Yes.
But so give me, right, if I'm right on this, today's the graduation, and you're going to have 70 second graders?
Yes, so tomorrow is what we're calling our Rotary Reads celebration. We are bringing 70 second graders from Severn Elementary School, as well as their teachers, to an event at the Radisson. We'll have a luncheon and a celebration of the reading and the accomplishment. And it's also an opportunity for the students and the staff to thank the Rotarians who are volunteer readers in their classrooms. A fun data point is that by the end of second grade, Rotary has supplied each second grader with about 30 books in their own personal home libraries when you add it all up together.
Well, before I ask about how we can help, and I'm sure that you need help getting the books. I mean, they're not free. But before we talk about that, do you think the Radisson's prepared for 70 second graders?
I hope so.
They sure are, and they love this event.
Yes,
This isn't the first celebration. They love it as much as the kids do. The kids, they get dressed up. It's a big field trip. Fun to go, to a banquet hall, right? Big banquet ballroom at the hotel and have a fancy luncheon, right? Fancy chicken nuggets and French fries.
Very nice.
For everyone.
For everybody.
There's no picking and choosing.
I think, Rotarians, it's their favorite lunch of the year because you get to sit and just talk to young people. And a lot of, many of the Rotarians have been in their classrooms, and we try to have that consistency so they know their names, they understand what Rotary does, and just kind of, passing on that giving back to your community is something that can be exciting and fun and is very rewarding, and it helps your community as a whole.
Well, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing Rotary members are probably pretty excited to volunteer for this, right? That's a pretty nice afternoon when you read to kids, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a Rotarian last week. She's like, I'm kind of nervous, but I've always wanted, I'm retired now, I've always wanted to read in the classrooms. Now that I'm retired, I'm like, well, come along. And she said she had a goose outfit. I was like, you do?
Okay.
I'm like, do you want to wear it? And she's like, sure. So, we found a book, Silly Goose. And
perfect.
Not Silly Goose. Anyways, it was a funny story, and she was dressed as a goose. I mean, that's fun.
But just if people are thinking of joining, they don't have to dress up as a goose.
You don't have to dress up as
All right, we just want to make sure. What are the students' responsibilities before this luncheon? Is there like a set? I think back when I was in school, remember Read It with pizza?
Yes.
Or Book It or something?
Book It's coming back.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, that is. That was. It's a summer program again. Summer reading
it's a
program.
great idea.
Yeah, with Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Yes.
With Pizza Hut.
But you had to read so many books in the summer. Is there something like that to be a part of this graduation? Or it's just kind of on the honor basis?
That they've, read the books they get, and that, they've just, it's interesting when you see them kindergarten to when they're second graders, and just how they're excited about reading in front of people, which is intimidating. But I think seeing adults from all walks of life coming into your classroom is a positive thing for students.
Absolutely.
And they're, not afraid to be silly, and, just kind of.
Well, and you had mentioned the partnership. What is their role in all of this? Like.
They adopt a class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so where
And the
we're
funds.
and the funds. Yeah,
Raise the
so
funds.
First Heritage will take. They have first grade this year at Severn, and do they have
A grade at
kid-
Winfield.
And a grade at Winfield. So and then the Presbyterian Church, and they pay for the books for that year. But Rotary does a class at a whole grade.
Yes.
At Winfield, and then 2 at Severn. So
Okay.
we have.
How can an organization or an individual get involved in this and help? Because maybe they're not a part of one of these organizations, but they say they're willing to donate for books. How should they do that?
They could contact Rotary. Also, the option is, to make this grow, just like First Heritage and the First Presbyterian Church. We're so excited about the program. They wanted to do something similar, and we just all work together and coordinate. And it's just about getting books in the hands of kids.
Yeah.
If an organization is interested in becoming a partner with us, they can obviously reach out to either one of us, and we would just invite them to the table for the planning. I mean, we would love to expand this to other schools, really targeting the kindergarten, first and second graders, and making sure that we're, giving the foundational literacy skills early on is a key goal. And I think we have several other elementary schools that would love to get in on the project,
and
but
we
definitely
would
would love to have more
but
partners.
that really is that community partnership is needed, and Rotary's completely open to that. We love it. We would love it.
Well, and you mentioned the planning. How much planning goes into this each year?
I have to say, having done this for so many years, the teachers, the principals, Rotary members, it's become fairly easy. We'll have a planning meeting, maybe 2, right before school is done, and then right before school starts, and then we just plan at each school's monthly reading, and
And the buildings have literacy committees, so behind the scenes too, we have principals and teachers and leadership teams that are focused on reading and literacy and setting goals. So it's part of their work throughout the year, and planning.
And they help make it's just we show up. They know we're coming. They know who's coming, and we have a space, and they're ready. Kids are waiting.
Well, and this is just one of many things, obviously, that Corning Rotary does. Tell us a little bit about what else is new at Rotary. How's things going? Last time we talked, the numbers are up. Everything's looking good. I'm seeing announcements from you guys almost every day.
Yes. So we're growing. I feel like we're going to be having our changeover event at the end of June, and we have brought on quite a few new members. So that's really exciting. Our big fundraiser will be Summer Feast. Save the date now. It will be Saturday, August 15th at the Civic Center.
I heard that was really good last year.
It's a Pig Swig and Boogie.
Pig Swig and Boogie.
I like it.
Fun time. Definitely wanting to showcase some. It's a Hawaiian roast pig.
Oh my goodness.
And lots of other food.
Oh, of course.
So we will.
And last year was the first year. I know it's a little different this year, moving things around because we only have so much summer, right?
Yes,
in this
I
area.
know. Yes.
So I know, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's doing it at the same time. But
Yeah.
it sounds like it was just a blast last year.
It was fun.
Lot
And
of
so
fun.
this just expands on it at a different time, of the year. And we're just hoping, bring your friends. Especially we'll have some beer tasting.
Oh, yeah.
Some breweries will be there, and
Live music.
music, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Yes, and just a good time. Games. Yeah.
So again, August 15th, and I'm sure we'll talk with somebody from Rotary before then to promote it. So if someone's thinking and hears all the good that you do in the community and they want to become a member, what's the best way to do that?
So you can go to our website if you like, and
Got that
there
on the
is
screen?
Yep. You can find if you inquire about membership, or you can contact one of us too. I mean, a lot of us are in the community enough that whether you email us, stop by the library, talk to Jen at the school. We definitely we want to grow. We need to grow, especially to expand these kind of projects. It needs the volunteer power and the sponsorship power. So.
Well, best of luck tomorrow. I think you guys are going to have a blast. It sounds like an amazing meal, and I hope we can talk again soon.
Yes,
We sure
well,
will.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
When you're online, don't forget Visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Catch up on news from the Twin Tiers and hear about local events. All on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Every journey is a shared experience. On the road, every decision has an impact, especially the decision to speed. Every mile per hour matters. Your speed affects more than just you. Ride and drive, as if everyone's life depends on it. Together, riders and drivers can save lives.
At Simmons Rockwell, you'll find brand new 2026 Chrysler Pacifica Select all-wheel drive passenger vans for only $43,999 during the Declaration of Deals event going on now at Simmons Rockwell Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Bath.
How we start a conversation matters. Text CONVO to 51550 for weekly conversation starters and connect more with parenting.org from Boys Town.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you to our friends from Rotary for joining us this morning. It's going to be a fun time at the Radisson. 70 first graders. That sounds like a really nice event. All right, let's go to some viewer comments, shall we? Good morning, Frank. I received my Corning Painted Post budget yesterday, so it sounds like that's a trend. Most people receive their budget in the mail yesterday. I think... Let's see, Wednesday. I think I got mine on Monday, so I can't swear by it. Well, that would be the day before. Excuse me. Yeah. Oh, so you got yours yesterday, the day of the budget? No, it just hit me. Sorry, getting all my days mixed up. Oh, very interesting. Waited till the last minute on that. Okay. Comment from different viewer. Rick writes in. Good morning. Good morning. Well, Insider Don is playing games with the American people. Trump's pendulum on if the Iran war is on or off a half dozen times a week causes huge fluctuations in the price of petroleum and gas stocks. And good old honest Don, the round man with a square deal, is buying low and selling high almost daily. That's what you are supposed to do unless you are the one controlling these markets on purpose with your big lying pie hole. The real losers are the American people, paying more for everything while Trump plays games with the market at the expense of the American people. Typical Trump the billionaire. Most of what he has compiled is a result of cheating, fraud, insider trading, and lawsuits. The Trump crime family. Go ahead, Republicans, please keep supporting one of the biggest crooks ever. All right, comment from a different viewer. I think, oh, there we go. Figuring I will break the morning silence with UFO news. Oh, interesting. It's been a little quiet this morning because we've been reading numbers. The school budget's passed, most of them. If you have any questions, comment to me, text me, and I'll let you know. So this viewer says, going to break up the silence with some UFO news. Yesterday morning, driving towards the airport, I had my polarized sunglasses on and saw what looked like a helicopter-shaped, brightly glowing object. A helicopter-shaped, brightly glowing object. I took my sunglasses off and it disappeared. Since the sun was directly behind me, I figured it was a glare from its windows. As I got close to its flight path, it was as if it had disappeared. I checked the internet for an invisible helicopter. Says it doesn't exist. However, I did run across a company called Hyperstealth. They filed a patent for a material which doesn't require a power source, and it's both paper thin and inexpensive. It works by bending the light around a target to make it seemingly disappear. I'm thinking that's a good idea for helicopters since typically they're not moving as fast as jets to avoid detection. I hope I'm not revealing a secret project. Ooh, I don't know. I'm guessing if you are revealing a secret project, you're gonna find out. I'm sure. Let me know if there's a knock on your door later today. Ken writes in, I will bet that the legacy media's coverage of the latest round of primary wins will pale in comparison to the coverage of elections in Democrat states that didn't go to people Trump supported. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the only way they're presenting this story is really in a negative that Trump has his grip over the loyalty, and there's got to be a loyal. It's so pathetic. It really is. So I wanted to mention this, and I hope we don't run too late, but I think it's worth mentioning when we talk about Iran and we talk about the bias in the media so frequently. Jonathan Sweet and Mark Toth write, General Colin Powell frequently advised his intelligence analysts, quote, tell me what you know, tell me what you don't know, and then based on what you really know and what you really don't know, tell me what you think is most likely to happen. His sage guidance is equally valid today, especially when it comes to the media reporting on the war in Iran. Going by the headlines, you'd think the United States is losing. Iran, analyst Robert Kagan told us last week in The Atlantic, has effectively checkmated President Donald Trump. Really, after only 38 days of actual fighting. Let's be clear, Kagan got it wrong. But this goes back to the point I've been making over and over again, to the point of it's probably annoying for you, and I apologize. But the media and many people who hate Trump are giddy and supporting, essentially the only way you can look at it, Iran. Supporting the news that if Iran does something that they think is beneficial to their potential victory, or if America gets hurt in some way and it will lead to a potential defeat, they're promoting it, they're hyping it up. It's a very sad situation to be in, but that's the level of the hatred they have for Trump. But I'll continue. Kagan, wasn't it, is not alone. For over a month now, many in the media have been writing the epitaph of a war that isn't over. Doomsdaying, okay, not a word, but necessary here, is rapidly becoming Washington's favorite sport. And selling defeat, undoubtedly for partisan political purposes, is shamefully in vogue. And I've talked about this. It's all about the midterms. Think about that. They wouldn't mind, and you've heard people say it in the media. They don't mind if it's a loss for the United States because it will ultimately hurt Trump and they can win in the midterms. That's how blinded by politics they have become. It is shamefully in vogue to want to see defeat. And no wonder Trump is frustrated. On Monday, he fumed on Truth Social that even if the regime surrenders with its leaders physically waving white flags, headlines will scream of Iran's masterful and brilliant victory over the United States of America. He's not wrong. During World War II, Winston Churchill warned that truth must be protected by a bodyguard of lies. Today, far too many actors across the entire media spectrum are, willingly or not, becoming the new bodyguard of lies. And most of the distortions they're spreading come courtesy of anonymous sources, such as the report spread last week by major media outlets claiming Iran could still possess 75% of its missile and launcher capacity. Iran is the only beneficiary here. With that article, Iran is the only one that benefits. You think at a time, and I'm not saying it has to be, listen, when you use anonymous sources, you're pushing propaganda. I've talked about that in the past. They're pushing Iranian propaganda. And what's so frustrating about this is you think of a time, if you ever listen to the old radio shows during World War II and the patriotism, the pride, it's the opposite coming from the media today. I'm going to continue. Historically, it's the enemy that creates the fog of war on the battlefield. Yet now, social media is driving us to create our own media fog that only serves to aid Tehran. So how do we see through the mist of misdirection? First, by heeding General Powell's guidance. Tell me what you know. The best knowledge comes from Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command. He is responsible for prosecuting the Iran operation and for achieving its assigned military objectives. His intelligence analyst and targeteers at CENTCOM, supported by the Defense Intelligence Enterprise, possesses the most precise and up-to-date battle damage assessment data. Notably, those data points do not come from anonymous sources within the Pentagon or the U.S. intelligence community leaking undocumented or incomplete information. When Cooper testified last week before the Senate Armed Services Committee regarding the U.S. military's posture in the Middle East, his comments differed starkly from the media's drumbeat of failure. Tellingly, his testimony aligned with what Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said days earlier when he admitted that Iran suffered harm and that the regime must face the reality of the war. Cooper noted that CENTCOM rolled back 40 years of Iranian military investment during Operation Epic Fury. Doing so required 10,200 sorties and 13,500 strikes that damaged or destroyed 85% of Iran's ballistic missile, drone, and naval defense industrial base. He specified that 82% of Iran's air defense systems, along with their radar and command architecture, were knocked out. And the United States sank 161 Iranian vessels, eliminating the regime as a maritime power. Simply put, he explained, Iran is losing. Yes, Cooper said, Iran retains nuisance capability, harassment, low-end drone and rocket attacks, and residual proxy support. However, even if those capabilities could be combined, they're insufficient to military checkmate or defeat the United States. And based on Cooper's sworn testimony, the U.S. has multiple clear paths to tactical and strategic victory in Iran. If Trump resumes offensive military operations, as he has threatened, CENTCOM must transition from conventional military targets to attack the regime's asymmetrical capabilities, its nuisance capabilities, and reestablish shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Light infantry, including paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division, Army Rangers, Marines, and Special Forces, would be deployed to secure the far side of the objective, the Iranian coastline. Raids and assaults would focus on destroying hidden speedboats, coastal defense batteries, drone launch sites, and targets of opportunity observed by persistent surveillance. Those operations would thwart Tehran's ability to counter U.S. Navy minesweepers and countermine ships sent to open the shipping lanes. Destroying Iran's center of gravity, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and its paramilitary forces will be the last heavy lift. That will require the help of allies, primarily Israel, whose defense forces are uniquely qualified, given Mossad assets on the ground, to continue decapitating Iran's leadership. Otherwise, they'll continue conducting asymmetrical attacks on U.S. and allied forces, giving the appearance of victory despite being on the cusp of defeat. Meanwhile, listen to solid sources like Cooper. As he testified, much of what's being reported in the media is, quote, not accurate. I thought that was a great piece coming from the New York Post. Michael Goodwin says that Trump's steadfast approach to no nukes for Iran shows his unwavering resolve. The so-called allies should count their lucky stars that Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, both of whom they revile, are fighting the good fight, especially now that Iran has proven it has ballistic missile capable of reaching London and Paris. You would think Europe would join America and Israel, or at least thank Trump and Netanyahu for fighting to make sure those Iranian missiles could never be armed with nuclear warheads, but dream on. Efren Fard says Iran is gambling that Trump will cave. It hasn't gone well for them so far. If the Islamic Republic continues testing American resolve, the next confrontation may no longer resemble calibrated deterrence. It may become the moment that determines whether Trump's Iran doctrine was merely pressure or the beginning of historic change. History will not remember pressure alone. It will remember whether it led to change. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those comments coming in. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized and a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Looking for a meaningful day trip close to home? Visit the historic Elmira Prison Camp, one of the most significant Civil War sites in the North. Walk the grounds, stand where history happened, discover powerful stories of courage, sacrifice, and survival that shaped our nation. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a family looking to learn together, or simply exploring the Finger Lakes region, we offer an experience you won't forget. Plan your visit today at elmiracivilwar.org. Preserve, discover, remember.
You deserve primary care that connects. Care that helps you move forward. Care that connects you to world-class specialists. Care that connects you to providers who are part of your community. And care that connects you to the life you love. Because great healthcare comes from providers who care about connection just like you. Find your primary care appointment at centralishealth.org/schedule.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Ken writes in, I respect Rick's opinions on Trump. I don't agree with anything he says, but he has the right to say it in America. That said, I do have I have two questions for him. One, do you think Iran should have a nuclear weapon? And two, if you don't think they should have one, why haven't the Democrats done anything effective in the past to eliminate the possibility of them having a nuclear weapon? Thank you, Ken. Couple of quick things. Oh, we've been talking about the school budget vote this morning. Did you see that we talked about this on the program in the past, but it was a while ago. I kind of forgot about it. The Regents exams are going to be a thing of the past. Nearly 2 years after the Board of Regents announced that Regent exams would someday become optional for students to earn their high school diplomas, school districts are taking matters into their own hands. They're coming up with other things. But we're talking about the end of Regents. That is unbelievable. And it's probably because our numbers are so disastrous when it comes to education. They want it to look better by not having this kind of bar being set, must be. That is unbelievable. Also, we learned, speaking of that, of education system, American Federation of Teachers boss, that union, Randy Weingarten, tapped hundreds of thousands of dollars from its union resources to help write her controversial book, working with a team that raked in more than $1.4 million from the labor group. Weingarten used the abundance of union-fueled resources for the liberal agenda-pushing, quote, why fascists fear teachers, public education, and the future of democracy, then pocketed a portion of the proceeds, according to the Freedom Foundation. Her team included an attorney who supposedly worked on the book pro bono, but whose firm raked in $977,000 for various work for the ATF, as well as a supposed ghostwriter who earned over $400,000 overall from the union. The union also forked over more than $11,000 to two people who fact-checked and apparently took photos of the big labor, or the labor big for the tome, which was heralded by the publisher as a manifesto for our time. Anyway, your union dues. Hard at work. Hey, quickly on, where do we got? Oh, we got to take our last break. Get your last second comments in. We're going to breeze through some things quickly, so stay with us.
William Matar has earned a reputation for being a straight shooter.
Because I am a straight shooter.
For being honest.
Here's what we're willing to pay.
Because I am honest.
For winning a lot.
Because we win a lot.
If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, it matters who you hire. It matters in the experience as well as the results. Call William Matar. Visit williammatar.com.
To them used to be, before talking to 988.
I felt alone.
I thought seeing hard things was just part of the job. I thought that having a bad day at work meant I was failing. But then I connected with someone at 988.
A real person texted back. Someone listened without judgment.
Now I know. Now I know it's okay to let someone help me too.
And I'm stronger than I thought.
We hear you. Call, text, or chat 988.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We have a cold front crossing the area as we head through our Wednesday morning, resulting in some scattered showers. Temperatures starting to cool off from what it has been recently. Even so, 71 today. Then overnight, temperatures falling into some low to mid 40s, staying with highs in low to mid 60s then for our Thursday. Some sunshine, just cooler out there. Gradually seeing temperatures recover to 75 by Memorial.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. As we've been talking about all morning long, Thomas Massie was defeated in that primary yesterday by 10 points. He was kind of hinting towards maybe a future in politics, maybe a presidential run, whatever you think of that. Just reporting it here, folks. And as I said, most, if not all, the school budgets, as we read this morning, passed. If you have any questions on that, feel free to text me. I would love to get that information from you. Last couple of quick stories. A new settlement term now bars the IRS from investigating Trump and his family for past tax issues. The IRS can't bring claims against President Trump, his family, or businesses for past tax issues, according to additional terms added yesterday to the settlement the Justice Department reached with Trump to resolve his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. The additional terms, first reported by Politico, were quietly added in a hyperlink to Monday's Justice Department press release that contained an agreement to create a nearly $1.8 billion fund to compensate people or organizations that have been weaponized by past administrations. A fund widely expected to benefit Trump's allies, including January 6 rioters. Anyway, several Republicans have ripped the $1.776 billion fund for victims of politicized prosecution. Todd Blanche acknowledged it was unusual but not unprecedented. Several GOP members came out publicly against it. John Thune said, yeah, not a big fan. I'm not sure exactly how they intend to use it. I don't see a purpose for it. John Thune, of course. All right. Also, the U.S. is expected to unveil criminal charges against Cuba's Raul Castro. It's expected to announce the criminal charges today in a move that would mark a step up in Washington's pressure campaign against the communist government there in Cuba. The charges against Castro, 94, are expected to be based on a 1996 incident in which Cuban jets shot down planes operated by a group of Cuban exiles, a U.S. Justice Department official told Reuters last week. The Miami U.S. Attorney's Office is planning to host an event starting at 1 p.m. today to honor victims of the incident. The Justice Department said on Tuesday it would make an announcement in conjunction with the ceremony, but did not provide details about said announcement. President Trump has been seeking regime changes in Cuba, as you know. Also, one last thing, if you get an opportunity, Kristen Toto writes a piece, and I think it's a really interesting one. We don't have time to get to it at the New York Post. Stephen Colbert, because I think today or tomorrow is his last day, Stephen Colbert embodies Hollywood's partisan self-destruction. And it's, if you're into kind of the late night discussions or the Hollywood discussions, the liberal media hangs on Colbert's every syllable, he says, repeating his gags as if they weren't prefab talking points. And the next time a reporter labels Colbert as a progressive, it may very well be the first time. Colbert deserves credit for surviving in the late-night landscape, a train that has rejected more than a few A-list stars. The biggest surprise is why CBS clung to Colbert while losing $40 million a year. Wouldn't an annual check to the DNC have been easier? That's kind of the takeaway from it all. Thank you to everyone who joined us this morning. Thank you for all the questions and comments. We want to thank the Rotary Club of Corning for being our guest. Best of luck with today's celebration of literacy. I hope it all goes well. And then tomorrow we're going to be talking with the United States Air Force Heritage of America Band. They're going to be playing for free on Sunday in honor of Memorial Day. Sunday they're playing at the Clements Center. We're going to hear all about it on tomorrow's broadcast. Then on Friday, it's Chairwoman of the Steuben County Legislature, Kelly Fitzpatrick. She's going to be our guest, so get your questions in for Kelly ahead of time as soon as you can. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll be back every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Look forward to it already.
Give kids time. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Glass Rock the Park, presented by Simmons Rockwell. Saturday, May 23rd is Tracy's A Taylor Experience.
Welcome to our tribute to the Eras Tour.
Free and open to the public. Brought to you by Simmons Rockwell.
Down and play. I'll write your name.